Crunch Time
with Ryan Kordziel.
It's Crunch Time.
What a game! Unbelievable! What a game!
This is Kordziel Krunch
with Ryan Kordziel.
Hello and welcome to Kordziel Krunch. The Pittsburgh Steelers have consistently been one of the best teams in the NFL and a model of organizational stability, having had just 3 head coaches since 1969. But by the 2000s, the once dominant franchise had not won a championship since Super Bowl 14, their lone appearance being a loss to the Dallas Cowboys in 1996. Their luck began to change in 1992 when Dan Rooney hired Chiefs defensive coordinator Bill Cowher as the team's new head coach, following the retirement of Chuck Noll, who had been in the position since 1969. After a 6-10 finish in 2003, the team drafted quarterback Ben Roethlisberger with the 11th overall pick, and in his second year, the team finished with an 11-5 record and defeated the Bengals, Colts, and Broncos en route to Super Bowl 40. They were facing off against the Seattle Seahawks, who finished 13-3 to capture their first Super Bowl appearance in the team's 30-year history, led by quarterback Matt Hasselbeck and running back Shaun Alexander, the league MVP that season. The game started off as a defensive battle, with the first 4 possessions ending in punts. With 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter and the Seahawks at midfield, Seattle handed the ball to Shaun Alexander, who ran it for 4 yards into Pittsburgh territory. Hasselbeck completed his next 2 passes for 27 yards, but on 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line, his 16-yard pass to Darrell Jackson was nullified on a pass interference penalty. Seattle tried to run the ball again, but Alexander lost 3 yards on 2 plays, and they were forced to try a 47-yard field goal, which kicker Josh Brown nailed to give Seattle a 3-0 lead.
47-yard field goal attempt for Josh Brown in perfect indoor conditions, right down the middle.
The Steelers got the ball back, but Ben Roethlisberger threw 3 consecutive incompletions to force a punt, which started the second quarter. The Seahawks started the quarter by handing the ball to Alexander, who rushed for 5 yards before Hasselbeck threw a 15-yard pass to wide receiver Joe Jurevicius for the first down. Seattle tried to keep the ball on the ground against Pittsburgh's 4th-ranked defense, but facing a 3rd and 2, Hasselbeck threw a pass for tight end Jeremy Stevens that was incomplete, forcing another punt. Running back Jerome Bettis ran the ball for 2 yards after an incomplete pass from Roethlisberger started the drive, and then Roethlisberger threw a short pass to Antoine Randall L. that was intercepted at the 17-yard line by Michael Boulware.
Fake draw, play action, Roethlisberger deep but short and picked off at the 16-yard line by Michael Boulware.
Fortunately for the Steelers, Seattle's ensuing drive was stopped short of a first down, and they were forced to punt on 4th and 1. With 8 minutes 15 seconds remaining, the Steelers went on a long drive that started with Willie Parker running for 4 yards on 2 plays. On 3rd and 6, Roethlisberger threw a pass to wide receiver Hines Ward for a 12-yard gain and a first down. After a 1-yard run from Parker, Roethlisberger threw another pass, this time to receiver Cedric Wilson for 20 yards, which brought the ball all the way to the Seahawks' 22-yard line. This was Wilson's only reception of the game. Roethlisberger's next pass was incomplete, and on the following play, a 5-yard completion to running back Jerome Bettis was nullified for pass interference. On 2nd and 20, Roethlisberger took a huge loss when he was sacked by defensive end Greg Winstrom for an 8-yard loss.
2nd down and 20. Play fake. Under pressure from the outside, and that's Grant Wistrom, the former Ram.
Things looked bleak for Pittsburgh, but on the next play, Roethlisberger worked his magic and threw a pass to wide receiver Hines Ward for a 37-yard gain, and took the ball all the way to the 3-yard line.
3rd down and 28 out of the shotgun now. Roethlisberger. 3-man rush. He's going to take off. He has time. He's going to launch one, and it is going to be caught at the 3-yard line by
After Bettis got 2 yards, Ben Roethlisberger ran the ball in for a touchdown, and the Steelers took a 7-3 lead.
And instead it's Roethlisberger on a keeper diving, and does he get there? Yes, he does. The linesman came in, it looked like he was going to spot it, then he came closer, and Roethlisberger is able to score the touchdown.
The Seahawks got the ball back with 1:46 remaining in the half, but despite a 19-yard catch from Jaravicius, the Seahawks were held out of the end zone, and Josh Brown's 54-yard kick was no good. The third quarter started with one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. After an incomplete pass, running back Willie Parker took a handoff on 2nd and 10 and took off all the way to the end zone for a 75-yard touchdown to increase the lead to 14-3.
Of the day, and you're going to see Parker bursting one over the right side. They call him Fast Willie Parker, and Fast Willie Parker has just gone 75 yards for a touchdown.
Get them to think that you're going to pass, then you get a little counter, a good block there. You just get by that safety. Again, they had that 8th man up. Once you get by with that nickel, you only have one safety back there, and you outrun.
Hasselbeck struggled on the next drive, throwing 3 incomplete passes, so the Seahawks had to use their running game. After a 6-yard reception by Maurice Morris, fullback Max Strong ran for 7 yards, and then Sean Alexander ran for 21 to bring the ball into Pittsburgh territory. After another incompletion thanks to Pittsburgh's stellar defense, Alexander ran for 5 yards on 2nd and 10, but another incompletion doomed Seattle, and Brown's 50-yard field goal was no good. Roethlisberger started the next drive with a 15-yard pass to Hines Ward, and then Bettis ran for 6 more. On 3rd and 4, Ward caught a 16-yard pass to put the ball at the Seahawks' 23-yard line. Bettis ran for 12 yards for another first down, but the Steelers got too run-happy and got just 4 yards on the next 2 plays before Roethlisberger was intercepted by defensive back Kelly Herndon and returned for 76 yards to the Steelers' 20-yard line.
4-man rush. It's flipped to the outside and intercepted by Kelly Herndon. Herndon to the 30. Roethlisberger is the only guy out in front of him, and he gets blocked out of the play. And then Herndon finally runs out of gas on a gigantic play.
The Seahawks made quick work of the Steelers' defense. After a 4-yard run from Alexander, Hasselbeck's second pass was complete for a 16-yard touchdown to Jeremy Stevens, and the Seahawks cut the lead to 14-10.
From the 16, Alexander in the eye, the play fake, in the pocket, Hasselbeck throws, touchdown, Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy Stevens, who had dropped 2, makes his first catch of the game.
A guy coming into the post, and then they have Jeremy Stevens going to the corner, and they kind of picked off out there.
Pittsburgh tried to run the ball on their next drive, but couldn't get anything done, and were forced to punt. Hasselbeck's first pass was incomplete, and on 2nd and 10, Seattle was penalized because of a false start from Alexander. On 3rd and 15, Hasselbeck completed a 13-yard pass to fullback Max Strong, but it wasn't enough, and the Seahawks were forced to punt. Pittsburgh got just 8 yards on their next drive, which lasted only 46 seconds before they were forced to punt again. The Seahawks ran the ball out of the gate to start their drive, as Alexander rushed for 5 yards and Hasselbeck rushed for 8 more. On 1st and 10, Hasselbeck threw 2 passes to tight end Ryan Hannum for a combined 12 yards, and followed that up with a huge 21-yard completion to wide receiver Bobby Ingram with 29 seconds to go. But his next pass was incomplete, ending the third quarter. Seattle faced a 2nd and 10 at their own 48 to start the fourth quarter, but quickly broke into Steelers territory when Alexander rushed for 5 yards to start the quarter, and Hasselbeck tossed a 17-yard pass to Ingram. Alexander rushed for 11 yards on the next 2 plays, and Hasselbeck tossed a great pass to Jeremy Stevens for 18 yards, but it was nullified by a holding penalty. The Seahawks' luck had finally run out, as Hasselbeck was sacked on the next play for a loss of 5 yards and tossed an interception 2 plays later.
Hasselbeck throwing, and it's intercepted at the 5 25-yard line by Ike Taylor. And Ike Taylor is brought back to the 28-yard line where he's tackled by Matt Hasselbeck.
Willie Parker ran the ball for 1 yard to start the drive, and Roethlisberger passed to Antoine Randall L. for 7 yards on the next play. After a 5-yard run from Roethlisberger, the Steelers called what might be the most exciting play of the game. Ben Roethlisberger took the handoff and immediately tossed it to Willie Parker, who in turn handed it off to Antoine Randall L. Randall L. threw a 43-yard pass all the way to Hines Ward at the 5-yard line, and Ward ran it in for a touchdown.
Little toss. Here comes a gadget play. Randall L. He can throw. He was a quarterback in college. And he's thrown a touchdown to Hines Ward in the Super Bowl.
Between the 40s, and you know that Randall L. is going to be involved in it. It starts off in a reverse. He comes around, and it becomes a reverse pass, and he throws a perfect pass to Hines Ward. Look at them, they're starting a bunch, and then he comes, here's Hines Ward coming all the way across the field. Randall L. getting the ball out in front for him.
The touchdown gave Pittsburgh a 21-10 lead with 9 minutes 4 seconds left to play, and was the first time in Super Bowl history that a wide receiver threw a touchdown pass. On the next play, Matt Hasselbeck ran for 18 yards and was tackled by linebacker Larry Foote before the ball came out from his grasp. Initially ruled a fumble, replay showed that Hasselbeck was down prior to losing the ball, and the call was overturned.
Hasselbeck, and he's going to run for a first down. And Hasselbeck's going to make the most of it, and then Hasselbeck loses the ball at the 35-yard line, and the question is, was he down? And they're going to say no, at least for the moment.
Alexander then ran for 4 yards, and Hasselbeck passed to Jaravicius for a 13-yard gain. But an incomplete pass and a sack doomed the Seahawks. On the next drive, Pittsburgh drove the ball from their own 20 all the way to the Seahawks' 47-yard line, but were forced to punt. Seattle tried to mount a comeback, but with just 1:51 remaining, it was a lost cause. Pittsburgh got the ball back with 3 seconds left in the game, and Roethlisberger took a knee as time expired. For the first time since the 1979 season, the Pittsburgh Steelers were Super Bowl champions.
Pass over the middle, and that's Stevens, and he's going to drop that one, and that's going to write an end to it. And you're exactly right, John. The first half was a mess at the end, and the Pittsburgh Steelers 7-5, and wouldn't have made the playoffs 2 months ago. Run the entire table with 8 wins, regular and post. All of them in postseason on the road.
Bill Cowher was saying that he wanted to get this one to give owner Dan Rooney his 5th Super Bowl ring. He did that.
Hines Ward was named Super Bowl MVP after recording 123 yards on just 5 receptions, including his 43-yard touchdown. And Super Bowl 40 was the 5th time in history that the lower-seeded team was favored to win.
Dan and Art, with today's victory, your proud franchise joins the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers as one of only 3 teams in the history of the National Football League to have won 5 Super Bowls. And your family's been at the helm for each of those championships. Congratulations to you, to Coach Cowher, all of your players, and all of the Steelers fans around the world.
Steelers owner Dan Rooney, running back Jerome Bettis, and coaches Dick LeBeau and Russ Grimm have all been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as has Seahawks tackle Walter Jones, with several more players not yet eligible for the honor. Super Bowl 40 marked the resurgence of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Roethlisberger became the first member of the vaunted 2004 draft class to win a title. They would continue their dominance throughout the decade, and appeared in the Super Bowl again just 3 years later. That'll wrap up this episode of Kordziel Krunch. Join me next week when I take a look at another iconic moment in sports history. For Kordziel Krunch, I'm Ryan Kordziel. Thanks for listening.
Kordziel Krunch.
With Ryan Kordziel.
Ryan Kordziel. Crunch time.